Hey everyone, so welcome to another video. I'm going to show you how to draw fur in this video. I'm drawing a tiger in this drawing, and so I already laid out my base colors, which was that white and then the really dark gray that you saw. And so I was just filling it in with some more white, kind of using white as my base layer and then layering on top with darker colors as I go. So you saw I laid down some of the light blue, and then I'm going in with some other grays and some blacks, just kind of lightly, making sure to blend everything out with some lighter grays, because that's kind of like the main color in this drawing, or light grays, dark grays, and light blue. I use a lot of that one, like you see me doing there. And then doing some more definition with the dark gray. And so for drawing fur, I feel like it's just easier for me to really be careful with how I'm placing my dark colors, especially for this drawing. And then you want to just do kind of like strokes, like long strokes when the fur gets longer, and then shorter strokes for when the fur is like really short. So in this drawing, that's like around the nose, and then the longer hairs are like around the edge of the face, kind of, and then the ears, of course. And you really want to make sure that your strokes are looking like they kind of go with the flow of the face. So like for example, when I drew the hairs on the nose, it kind of looks like part of the nose is like coming down, if that makes sense. So those hairs are kind of facing down, and then as they go further up the face, they're kind of going upwards. So in order to do that, you just kind of, with your pencil, you can just do those strokes down and then make sure they kind of blend upwards by doing strokes upwards as well as you get towards the top. Another tip for drawing fur too, you really just want to make sure that the hairs blend in really nicely, especially when you're doing kind of like really contrasting colors. So for this, it's like the black and the white, but that would apply to really any kind of colors. So with fur or hair, you're just doing strokes of some sort, and so you just kind of want to make sure that all of those strokes are kind of going in the same direction. So like at the top of the head, all of those hairs are kind of pointed upwards, so I would be doing upward strokes. And then when drawing something like a nose on an animal, you want to make sure that it doesn't look photoshopped, like it's just kind of like been slapped on the face. So in order to blend it into the rest of the face, the area around the nose, you want to kind of draw little, tiny little strokes of hair like around the nose and make sure it kind of blends in with some lighter pencils, but it just really depends on what you're drawing. Like for this drawing, I used my really light blue pencil to blend out the little hairs, and then some darker pink colors actually to also blend that top darker part of the nose into it. And I think it's really important too to identify where your warm colors are going to go and like where your cool colors are going to go. So like for the area that's kind of underneath the eye, where it's kind of that piece of gray, I guess, next to the bright white, that's more warm toned, and you can tell because next to it where the top of the nose is, that whole area is more cooler because it's more blue. I don't know if you guys can tell. So again, for this, I'm just laying down my base color for this part of the tiger, and that's just white, so I'm not too particular with how I lay down that base color, as long as it's pretty even, because I'm going to be going over it with a bunch of other colors anyway. and then just blending out that dark shade with a lighter blue color. And I find that I really like this technique of actually laying down the darker colors first in some parts and then blending it out, especially on this toned tan paper. When you're working with colors on toned tan paper or just toned any color paper, I find that you have to change your technique just a little bit compared to using like regular white board or paper. At least the kind that I use. I regularly use the Smooth Bristle from Strathmore. This is the Strathmore toned tan paper. I just have to pay a little bit more attention to how I'm blending, and I find that I do have to layer a little bit more as well, just to make the colors really, really vibrant on top of the brown. So just working little by little. I'm not someone that really uses grids. I like to kind of move around freely with my artwork. If you guys saw my other videos, you probably already noticed that, and even with this one too, I kind of like to move around all over the place a little bit. That's just my personal preference, but that's not really that common that I've noticed, like in my classes and just online watching people draw. People like to, a lot of the times it's helpful to use grids because it makes your work a lot more accurate if you're working from a photo reference. But I just feel like that kind of technique tests my patience a lot more, so that's kind of why I don't like to do it, but that's totally personal preference. So when drawing something white, I think it's so important to remember that nothing is ever just white. There's all sorts of warm tones and cool tones that are in white, because white is just not a solid color most of the time when you're drawing it. As you can tell, like I use a lot of really, really cream colored light yellows, and then some really dark browns even for this drawing. Like I've used a lot of sepia. I use some of a dark mauve color to help blend out as well. And now I'm using just this gel pen, which is one of my favorite techniques to bring out the highlights. And I feel like drawing these whiskers really made it a lot more lifelike too. And using that gel pen really kind of brings out the strokes. So I think, again, the main thing with fur is just to pay attention to the direction of the lines that you're placing, because that is what makes it more realistic, the most realistic. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Leave any requests below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos. Thanks for watching. Bye!